Hey, it's New Thought Talk with your host, RevSteve, from the Spiritual Awareness Center located in Fresno, California. Fresno, the heart of the Central Valley, the heart of the state of California. I'm glad to be here today. I hope you're glad to be here also. It is a great day, and it is, I say each week, I hope that you started this day by claiming your good, your gift from the divine principle, first cause from God before you opened your eyes, because truly today is a gift to each and every one of us, that we may go through this day living intentionally, living in consciousness, and experiencing a higher and greater degree of livingness. It's our day, and it was gifted to us. Claim it, own it. So we've been going through this thing called life by Dr. Ernest Holmes. We got into chapter 5 last week, and it's a larger chapter. I hope to finish it off today, but if not, we're just going to move through at the pace that it works, and I hope it's been working for you. So, all right, where I'm starting to do, actually, before I get started in the book, now this is out of the Science of Mind, the textbook, and just something I wanted to open with, and you can find this on page 46, about the fourth paragraph. Holmes writes, he says, "We are surrounded by an infinite possibility. It is goodness, life, law, and reason. In expressing itself through us, it becomes more fully conscious of its own being. Therefore, it wishes to express through us, and as it passes into our being, it automatically becomes the law of our lives. It can pass into expression through us only as we consciously allow it to do so. It's our call." He says, "Therefore, we should have faith in it and its desires and its ability to do for us all that we shall ever need to have done. What we could need, want, desire that is in alignment with principle. Since it must pass through us or through our consciousness to operate, we must be conscious that it is doing so." In other words, our life expression is a partnership. Oftentimes people, they feel that, okay, there is a divine being and there's their life, and the two aren't exactly the same. But when we begin to look at it from an understanding of a single first cause, an unmovable mover, if you will, consciousness behind all it is, the one mind, the one life, that is our life. Our relationship to it is substantially more intimate than what many of us had given thought to. So intimate, in fact, that it seeks to express itself through our day-to-day life expression. And it seeks to do so at a greater and higher degree. And so we can live life at a greater and higher degree of livingness. But we have to make the discovery. We have to open ourselves up. We have to be receptive to it. And that's what we've been covering. That's what the Science of Mind and Spirit's about. But we've been covering that as we've gone through this thing called life by Ernest Holmes. So moving on, if you happen to have a copy of the book, we're on page 39. And Holmes writes, he says, "To live in conscious communion with life, even for a short time, we will convert our fears into faith, our doubts into certainty, our hurt and sense of failure into something triumphant." You know, we have societally made a grave mistake with this idea of failure, that we raise our children up and they fear failure. They have this idea in consciousness that failure it's like the worst thing in the world that could happen to them. We need to reframe that. One, because failure is actually a tool that, as we have the opportunity to experience it in our life, there's things that we can learn. And after we learn those things, we should be invigorated to go back and try again and to continue. As we understand that we have a bigger God than anything life can bring at us, if we experience failure in a particular process or activity, it's not that the divine principle has turned its back on us. It's that maybe we need to open ourselves up to a greater degree of receptiveness, or maybe in our journey, the lessons that we learned in that failure are lessons that we need to move higher, to express more. That, again, we have a bigger God. we can move beyond. And life becomes not a beatdown, but an adventure. All of our greatest adventurers, greatest achievers historically and even into this day and time have been people that have experienced a lot of failure. But failure wasn't the end all for them. They picked up, they learned, they moved on. So each of us can do that. And let's raise our children up with that idea also, you know. Young people in competitive activities, it hurts when they don't make first place or they don't win. But we can show them that they can grow from that. And we can show them that, you know, feelings come from thoughts. And we can change the way our thoughts are about the activities that we participate in. And we can teach that to our children. So they'll come back, they'll try, they'll strive, they'll have more confidence in themselves. They can move forward. Holmes says there is a sublime and divine hope for everyone who is willing to surrender him or herself to the great good, to the warm embrace of the oversoul, in whose lap, Emerson tells us, we lie, that we are a subject of infinite influence, that every person has a subliminal depth to their being. We can plant our feet firmly on this faith and realize that we are divine beings now. Well, we don't realize that we're divine beings now. What we now realize is that we've always been divine beings. Maybe we just weren't aware of it. But we are. We are the offspring, if you will. I think it was Catherine Ponder that in one of her affirmations was something like, I am the child of a wealthy or rich parent, father. We all are children of an incredibly abundant, good, loving, harmonious, beautiful, powerful, rich Father God, Mother God, however you want to interpret that. And as such, we are heir apparent, each and every one of us, to that good. Each and every day of our life. We recognize the day. That's why for every show, I open with the idea of claiming your good in gratitude and thanksgiving for the gift that was given today. If you know it's there, if you know and you know that it's there, it will unfold for you in incredible and sometimes very adventurous ways. He says, there's but one creative principle. It always responds to us. There is but one power, and we are using it either negatively or affirmatively. The great affirmation is the affirmation of goodness and the givingness of this power. The great affirmation to affirm the goodness that exists for us, to affirm that it's ours now. But in that process of affirming that, we also want to put ourselves into a state of receptivity, of acceptance. That requires that we shift our consciousness oftentimes. If we have held beliefs that some way, somehow, we are less than, or that life is less than, or can offer less than, or that, society has an incredible way of raising up people that believe that they're not getting an even break. And that can be along many different lines. It doesn't, oftentimes we'll maybe think of, one certain group or class or type or age or whatever. Truth is, everywhere you look, you can find people that believe that, they're a victim of something. And I'm not saying that we don't experience things in our life that can be sometimes rather difficult, and that's speaking polite to what may be some horrendously awful things. But we don't have to let that own us. We all have a history, but we're not our history. What we are is we are here and now. And that's what we are. We are here and now. We are created in the image and the likeness, the divine nature. We have available to us our inheritance, if you will. We can claim it, and we can move forward. There may be a learning curve. There may be a time, a process, if you will, in that realization. But if we keep that goal, that compass point in front of us as we move forward, there is a greater good, a greater God. Darkness is not a thing. And when we bring light, darkness can't fight light. Light just overcomes, it takes. And there's a light that's available to each and every one of us. We can do that. We can have it. We can own it. We can claim it. But it starts with a thought. It starts with realizing that there's more to life than what we've given credence to. We're going to take our first break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Hi everyone, I am Sparkle Sujin with the Everything Sparkle Show. Tune in every Thursday live at 4 p.m. You will see people that are motivational, inspirational, inspiring, and of course, entertaining. We have a great time. We learn things about how big celebrities are inspiring big names here in Fresno. Hugh Hefner is the reason we have Fresno Magazine, and Gnarly Charlie got his start because Johnny Carson told him to. So, tune in, you'll learn something new, and have a good time.
Highlights, balayage, color, extensions, cuts, pure Brazilian blowouts, treatments. Contact Jordan Myers at Hair by Jordan.
Did you know most hair and beauty salons in the Central Valley are not disposing of their chemicals correctly? Partner with us today to become an eco-friendly salon. Visit us online at greenbeautywaste.com. Our phone number is 559-367-7206. And be sure to visit us on Instagram and Facebook at Green Beauty Waste.
Is everything in life draining you? Come to Stretch 360. Our professional staff can offer you many options for relaxation like deep tissue or hot stone massages, infrared medical grade sauna. Once you leave us, you'll look and feel like $1,000,000. Stretch 360. Relaxation is only a stretch away.
The Art of Becoming Who We Are in Christ by Jolene Kennedy is a book about the process of maturity as we find our true identity, since God's promises must be received, embraced, and activated within us. Get your copy today and check out JoleneKennedy.com. Fleet Feet Fresno is more than just a running and sportswear store. Fleet Feet Sports' mission is to provide runners and other active Fresnans with gear that fits their individual needs, training that helps them reach their fitness goals, and races that satisfy their competitive spirit. Get to know Fleet Feet Fresno today.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I am your host, Reverend Steve Wallen. So, Holmes goes on, he says, just as you can deny an experience out of existence, you can affirm an experience into existence. Affirmations, very, very interesting, very powerful things. You know, we talk about affirmations in Science of Mind and Spirit, in New Thought. Oftentimes, you know, people think that it's just something formal that we do. Truth is, we're always affirming something, whether it be of a positive or a negative nature. We oftentimes call those our beliefs. Our beliefs lead to our trend of thought, our trend of thinking. And as we allow, and basically what we're doing is not paying attention it's kind of a habit. We allow that trend of thinking to, kind of process itself in the back of our consciousness, and it's pretty much it's kind of like a ticker tape, if you will, and it's there in the background. And if it's of an affirmative nature, it's positive. If it's of a neutral nature, well, some's good, some's bad, but it can also be of a limiting, negative nature. And we're not even aware that that's going on. We can self-sabotage. We affirm lack, limitation, struggle in our life. Struggle is one of those things, and I've said this before, struggle is something that we hopefully want to embrace. Understanding, shifting our perspective. We have a bigger God. Whatever the obstacle, whatever the challenge, we can struggle, but through the struggle we grow. Through the growth, we live life at a higher, greater degree, and we build on that. It's an amazing thing, as you accomplish something in your life, something that maybe you had to work for, you had to struggle a little bit, but when you finally get to that point of accomplishment, it's like, wow. But we don't fold up our tent at that point. We don't say, okay, been there, done that, don't have to do anything anymore. I can sit on my couch and, no, that's not what life is about. Life is about living. As I say, which is not my words, but it's a quote from Judge Thomas Trord, we want to live at a higher, greater degree of livingness. And that's really our purpose. So as we learn, as we put into practice the tools that we come across, we affirm our good. We affirm it with an understanding that that's the reality, not what the experience is here and now, but the reality is what we're affirming. We begin to create that image in our imagination, in our mind. And as we create that image as a reality on some level, then we begin to watch how this thing that we call the law takes that and unfolds it, demonstrates, manifests in our life. It's an amazing thing. It really is. And it's available. No one is limited. No one is limited from this. It's available to each and every one of us because we are the inheritors. We are the children, the offspring. No matter who we are, where we are, what we've done, where we're at. It's an amazing thing. It's one of the reasons why, I began to develop an interest in learning about this. And as that learning grew, becoming a practitioner, as that became more expansive, learning, growing, sharing, and becoming a teacher. And it's awesome. It really is. So he says here, moving on, he says, your thoughts are tools that you can use in affirming the creative power into your experience. You can use affirming this creative power, the one creative power, into your experience. You're never separate from it. You're never without. You're never alone from it. It's always there, and it's amazing. He says, it may seem strange at first to think that we can affirm something into existence where nothing seemed to be, but it is not this true when we draw a picture, mold a form, or plant a seed? Anyone wishing to demonstrate the availability of the law of life must certainly accept the dynamic reality of affirmations. Affirmation is the greatest and fundamentally the only creative agency in the universe. Think about it. You have to be conscious to affirm. But any conscious being at the level of consciousness of humanity can affirm. There was no caveat to that. There was no exception to that. It's an amazing thing. We can all affirm. When we affirm, like I say, when we affirm and we have an expectation because we have affirmed our belief into accepting that as reality at some level. And when we couple that with thanksgiving and gratitude. It's an amazing thing about thanksgiving and gratitude. If you're familiar with what Holmes and religious science-minded spirit, their basic outline for affirmative prayer, the 5 steps of recognizing the infinite power that's God, recognizing our oneness, our unity with that, making our declaration, okay, affirming, if you will. But the very next step is a step of gratitude and thanksgiving. Consider, can you be thankful for something in your life that's not there? You say, well, I can be thankful that it's going to come. I can be thankful that I'm expecting. Not the same. When you're thankful for something in your life, that's because you have a consciousness that it is in your life. In a sense, you could kind of say that's the capstone, if you will, in the arch of treatment. You know, the final is letting go and letting God, but getting to that gratitude, that thanksgiving, you know, people sometimes, I think, kind of rush through that, you know. They make their declaration, thank you, God, and so it is. Maybe you want to take a little more time with that thank you, God. Create that inner expression, beingness, experience of being truly grateful in that moment. As if you are the sole and only recipient of good in the entire universe. And that good is what you have made in your declaration. There for you, you alone. Not something that's going to happen, not something you want to happen, not something you hope will happen. Something that's there, yours. Own it in being, own it in mind, own it in consciousness. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Consider that, just a thought. He says, an affirmation is not an affirmation unless it's inwardly believed in. Hence, your intellect, your will, and your feeling must agree with your affirmations if they are to have real power. I go back to what I just said about Thanksgiving. Your intellect, your consciousness, your belief. Can you believe in something that you can't be thankful for? I don't know. I can't. So when I speak with people and I share this concept, that idea, and again, I'm going to roll right back to the beginning of the show, beginning of each show. Give thanks as you are awakening to the day. Before you open your eyes, put yourself in a state of gratitude for the gift that today is. That day is your gift, and you can intend it, you can expect it, you can accept it, and be thankful. Totally, completely, awesomely thankful. It's yours. It's the gift. He says we should not only hitch the wagon of our hope to a star, we should likewise identify our mind with the infinite. Infinite, wow. You know, the idea of the infinite is an idea that is kind of beyond most mortal individuals' mind to get a wrap around. Infinite, beyond as beyond as we can conceive. We haven't even begun to make a mark on the linear line of the infiniteness. We can tap into that. Think about it. We, each and every one of us, can tap into that. It's available to us. Not because it's something outside of us, not because it's something that somebody else provides, not because it's something that we have to go on a treasure hunt for, but because it's here, now, right now, in the moment, in our moment. That's why when we begin to conceptualize and embody the idea that, okay, I have a history, but I'm not my history. My history's a story. The story's been filed away. If the story's been filed away, I can claim a greater good, greater happiness, greater abundance, greater beauty, greater peace, greater, and greater livingness. Today's technology, computers and iPads and tablets and phones and all this stuff, we hear oftentimes how people have begun to focus on technology and kind of lost their way in the life expression. That's possibly true with most any advancement if you exclude everything else to, enjoy or participate in. But what about taking the technology and applying it in your day-to-day life experience, not that you are tied to it, but that you utilize it in your personal journey, your personal growth. What's available to people today online, books, YouTube stuff, talks, the show, for example. Wherever we go, wherever we're at, well, God is there. God's there. Tap into God. Whether you got your phone or not. But if you got your phone, as you're tapping into God, use your phone or your iPad or your computer to enhance the experience. Greater good, greater God, greater abundance, greater livingness, greater excitement, and it only gets better. That's just the starting point. We're going to take our next break, and I'll see you when we come back.
Clovis Community College may be free for you to attend. Call 325-5239 or visit cloviscollege.edu for details. We offer general education classes for transfer and short-term training programs.
This segment is brought to you by Mike Briggs Properties. The recession's over. It's now safe to sell your home. Call Mike Briggs Properties.
Call Peachy's Catering for all your special occasions. Available to cook any variety of foods and desserts that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Call 559-558-2682 and follow Peachy's on Instagram and Facebook. When you need to get fit, contact Gary Torres, IFBB Pro, specializing in weight loss, body transformations, and contest prep. Email GaryTorres5336@yahoo.com.
Hey, I'm Chris DeVold. Tune in every Friday night on CentralValleyTalk.com when I bring you Sex, Drugs, Chris DeVold, where I'll give you 3 guesses on what we talk about. And I also vow to bring you 1 live local music act a week. So tune in every week because you never know what kind of music you're going to hear right here on CentralValleyTalk.com.
The Space Colony Journals are an epic tale of a family's struggle to survive. Meet the courageous women and dangerous men who dare to carve a home on the alien world of Vensug. Get your copy today. Available on Amazon and Gail Daly's FineArt.com.
You enter this door with expired tags. Beyond is another dimension, a dimension of regulations, a dimension of long waits. You have reached the registration zone. What looks like an ordinary shop is actually Mitchell Smog, located in the heart of the Tower District, a few minutes from the DMV. Mitchell Smog offers your vehicle a STAR-certified smog inspection. So remember Mitchell Smog when you need to pass through the registration zone.
Contact Sarah Hernandez of June and Matt Photography to schedule your portrait, engagement, wedding, or next family photo session. But that's not all. Sarah is also your personal brandographer, helping you ditch the stock photos and get images that sell. Call 559-412-3721. Visit JuneandMattPhoto.com and follow Sarah on Instagram and Facebook.
Give your child the tools to succeed. The Yergubian Academic Center offers one-on-one and group educational lessons by appointment. Over 90% of our students show significant improvement in their academics in just 3 months. Students of the Yergubian Academic Center have gone on to UCLA, UC San Diego, Yale, Stanford, and many more prestigious universities. Schedule a tutoring session today. Call 559-437-3973.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, the Reverend Steve Wallen. So, going back to the textbook, on page 49, first paragraph, Holmes writes, he says, the mystery with which most people surround the search for truth relative to this principle is not read out of it, but is read into it. We make life, we make stuff more difficult because we believe that there's something outside of us, something that's got to happen for us, something that's doors that have to open, breaks that have to come our way in order for the divine good to express in our lives. Truth be told, the good's there, and the there is right where we're at. We can do this. Life mirrors back to us. Life mirrors back to us what we believe life to be. Holmes writes, he says, always we are brought back to this fundamental truth that life is a mirror and that external happenings are objective correspondence to the inner contemplations. Another way of saying it is what we think about comes about. Been around a long time. Just as true today as when whoever spoke it the first time spoke it, okay? So moving forward, I'm just kind of touching on some of this stuff. I highly recommend that you get a copy of the book. It's available Amazon, through your bookstore at your local center. It's out there, okay? He says a person would not be normal unless he or she wished to express joy and happiness, unless their wish is happiness, unless he wished fulfillment. Let me read that again. A person would not be normal unless he uses the pronoun he, but he or she wished to express joy and happiness, unless he or she wished fulfillment. The whole problem is to find self-expression through constructive channels of thought and action. Thought and action. It's an amazing thing. How we experience whatever we're involved in is really dependent upon where our thought is at that point in time. We can be involved in something that normally might put a smile on our face, and we're frowning because our mind is somewhere else. Or we could be in the middle of a very profound struggle, taking a lot of effort, and living in the experience, knowing that we're transcending, we're overcoming, we're growing, and feeling it. In a sense, it's kind of like the athlete that trains, that pushes themselves to the limit and then a little bit beyond. In a sense, we're mental athletes, each and every one of us. We need to refine, we need to push, we need to test, to learn to move outside of our box, our comfort zone, and do so with an expectation of greater good, with the affirmation that our good is there, with the belief we have a greater God, and with the acceptance, receptivity of the gift that God lays out for each of us. And the thing is, we can each do that. It's not something that only some people can do, each and every one of us. He says, the very last word in the science of mind and in psychology is a complete affirmation of the presence of life in you as a person, uncaught, unbound, limitless, and free. When psychologists study the operation of the human mind, they are merely studying the actions of this principle in the human mind. There's one mind. That mind is God. There's one life. That life is God. That mind, that life is my life, your life, right now. Awesome. Claim it. A lot of this is about creating a mindset. And again, the mindset that we create is solely, wholly and solely ours. if we have self-defined as being less than, whatever that means, maybe you want to be a musician and you're less than everybody else that wants to be a musician, or whatever, or that your life struggles are too big, or you've experienced setbacks that you just can't seem to overcome. Don't accept what the outside, the exterior, has brought to you. What you've done is you've accepted that you have no control, that you have no power, that you have no bigger God. So when we begin to move, in the last chapter, in chapter 4, Holmes talked about the idea of denials. Denials, very powerful. Some people don't like using them, but a denial is, in a sense, Holmes used to say, being able to look a discordant fact in the face and know the truth. Okay? Not accept it. Sometimes we got to put words to that in order for our mind, our consciousness, to accept it. We do that in the form of a denial. When life is challenging us and we're going, okay, I understand, I'm supposed to be able to look a discordant fact in the face and know the truth, know the greater good, know that it is not authentic, it is not the honest expression of the divine. And yet I'm there, I'm in the middle of it, whether it's personal or, relationship, family, or whatever. Learning to say, okay, this is what the five senses tell me, okay? And if we live by our five senses, generally, that's usually trouble. That's usually, yeah, we're going to buy into a lot of things that aren't really founded in divine truth, in the absolute. Because all our five senses can do is tie us to the relative. And it is relative. It's forever changing. Things come into form, they go out of form, and if we tie ourselves to that, we're going to be at some point at a place where hopeless doesn't even begin to describe where we're going to be at in mind. But it's not true. It's just what we've accepted as truth. Okay, you say, all right, you say accepted, but, how do you get to this idea of accepted? All right, you go to the beach, you stand, you look out at the ocean, you see the horizon. That's the end of the world. Humanity accepted that as truth forever. Well, not forever, but for a long time. But it wasn't true. It took someone that had a vision to see beyond the horizon. We stand on railroad tracks, and in the middle of the tracks, you look down, and your eyes tell you that they come together out at some distant point. But there's part of you that knows that it doesn't. You see the sun come up in the morning. You accept that as true, but it's not. See, we accept a lot of things as truth that aren't. With that in mind, you begin to look back, you reflect upon your life, things that you've accepted as the truth, but they're not. When you begin to seek to accept the concept, the idea that you have a bigger God, everywhere available, everywhere responsive to you, everywhere awaiting you, everywhere demonstrating in your life at the level of your ability to embody the concept, to accept the concept, to be receptive to it. In other words, it's done unto you as you believe. So, okay, how about let's change our beliefs? Well, okay, before you let your mind begin to argue you out of that, think back to the horizon from the beach or the railroad tracks that come together, or the fact that the sun doesn't come up in the morning. Create within you a new belief, a new idea, a new concept, that just because my five senses tell me something doesn't mean that it's true. That There is a creative something in the universe. Call it first cause, call it God, call it spirit, call it goddess. However you want to relate to it, that touches you at the core, the center of your being. It's awaiting you. It's awaiting you turning to it. And it's infinite. More power than what you could even begin to conceive. Those that begin to accept and embody it, affirm their good, accept a greater good. As Judge Torward says, they move from being in the relative into being in the absolute. And the absolute is God itself, expressing as you. We can't ever get away from it. So, what about it? Can you consider the fact that you are absolute, that you are greater than what you've accepted, that there is something available to you within you, that life is meant to be lived at a higher, greater degree of livingness than what you're living right now? Are you willing to, and that can be very scary for some people, but are you willing to accept that, to face it, to even consider going down that road? You are an incredible being. You are absolutely incredible. Do you know that? And that's the question. Holmes says, you can use this, there's a law of life, and it is a law of mind and of spirit or of thought. You may call it the law of cause and effect. You may call it the law of polarity. It has been called by all these terms and many more. You know, we have no trouble accepting the idea of the law of gravity, for example. Yeah. No one's going to knowingly step off of a place that's higher than their ability to step unless they happen to have a parachute or something. But can we accept that there is a law of life? That the mere fact that you are living, breathing, is not just energy dissipating. It's the idea of one life living itself through you. There's only one life. One life. And it expresses through all that is. Things that we understand as life and things that maybe we don't accept and understand, but nonetheless, it's still at some level of livingness. May not be at a level of consciousness, but a level of livingness. There's one life. The source of that life is the divine. That source lives you as you and lives through you. There's one life. You're awesome. Contemplate on that. Affirm it. See where it goes. He says, you can use this law for yourself or others by merely directing it. Your intention, direction, and recognition of this power operating through a certain individual or situation causes it to manifest there rather than someplace else. Again, as you're doing this, don't forget the gratitude. Always. He says, if this were not true, it would be impossible to help anyone with this power. You know, the idea of helping anyone with this power, you say, well, come on. How can this be? My question back to you is, how can it not be? History is replete with individuals, even today. Modern day, you might call them faith healers. You may call them practitioners. You may call them prayer partners, all sorts of different names. The power of intentional prayer that is directed and spoken with a faith, confidence, and belief that the divine principle responds is incredibly powerful. We're going to take our last break. I ran a little long, and I'll see you when we come back.
If your home floods, who will you call? When your house springs a leak, it's time to call Clean Master Emergency Flood Service at 559-213-9430. Clean Master will be there in 60 minutes to start fixing your home. And Clean Master bills your insurance directly, saving you the hassle because you've got enough to worry about. Clean Master also offers carpet and upholstery cleaning, carpet repair, pet odor removal, and more. Remember, Clean Master Emergency Flood Service, 559-213-9430, and visit cleanmasterflood.com. Pour yourself a glass of Crybaby wine available at the market and Sam's Italian Deli. And remember to ask for Crybaby wine at your favorite restaurant.
Forget about the higher good of food, right? You're growing a product that people enjoy really all over the world. I mean, how does that make you feel?
I think about that all the time. I think about the families sitting around a table, enjoying a meal. I just see that what we do brings families together.
I mean, we're blessed. We're in paradise for food.
The Kern family of the Kern Family Farm invites you to eat delicious, nutritious, organic produce available at the Gnarly Carrot, located at 32954 Road 222 in North Fork, California. The Gnarly Carrot is a local, natural, seasonally changing market offering a wide range of products from local Central Valley vendors. Get your caffeine fix, grab a smoothie, and support small businesses. Learn more at kernfamilyfarm.com and visit the Gnarly Carrot today. Doctor in Sukasa allows you to connect with your doctor when you need a quick treatment. Avoid a trip to a medical clinic or emergency room and connect by video with your doctor from your home, work, or anywhere. Just go to drinsukasa.com on your phone, tablet, or computer. Dr. in Sukasa provides quality care that is convenient, bilingual, and affordable, so you are never left without access to health care. Visit drinsukasa.com today.
CentralValleyTalk.com.
Welcome back to New Thought Talk. I'm your host, Reverend Steve Ball. So I kind of got my time scheduling a little askew for today's show. We still got our show time in. This last segment's going to be a little on the short side. So I want to read you another quote from the textbook found on page 57. Holmes writes, he says, "The one who wishes to scientifically work out his problem must daily make the time to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions may be." He tells us that daily, not once a week, whenever the urge strikes us, the one who wishes scientifically to work out his or her problems must daily take time to meditate and manually treat for the condition. Or mentally, not manually, mentally treat. Boy, that was a brain freeze. Anyway, point is, how bad do you want to experience more abundance in your life on all levels? How strongly do you have a desire to move from where you are in your life today to a greater and higher degree of livingness, because that's what it comes down to. And oftentimes, things that hold us, we talk about being held in bondage, and that's definitely beliefs for sure, but habits are a part of that. Being willing to put aside old habits, to expressing, working through, and committing to that each and every day, and practice, and practice, and practice. And as you do, things will evolve, sometimes almost immediately and sometimes over a period of time. But it's up to you, your commitment. And okay, so you're committed for a while, and maybe you fall off the wagon, so to speak, right? Pick it up. You're not you're not only given so many opportunities. Pick it up, go back at it. Opportunities are limitless. The power behind the desire is infinite. The availability of all good is yours in potential right now. So, for the one who wishes scientifically to work out his or her problems, they must daily take the time to meditate and mentally treat the condition, no matter what the apparent contradictions may be. That idea of being able to look at discordant fact. A discordant fact is not a real fact. It's a condition. It's an expression. It is experienced by the five senses, but it's not experienced at the level of divine principle, of our guidance, of our provider, of our good. And it's only there at the level of our acceptance. So maybe it's time to accept something different, greater, more powerful. I'm just going to read this one last little bit, and we'll call it for today. It says, using the law of life, you do not merely have to make a lot of abstract statements, such as saying God is good, God is all there is, God is love. Such statements affirm your belief in the goodness and the allness of life, for sure. They are necessary as a foundation and it's definite for your work. But when you wish to create something better through the use of this law, he says, you've got to add to this. He says the statement that God is all life. It's not just a statement in the words. And we talk about, as we speak our word, that there's a law that responds. What's the word that we're speaking? It's not the English word or the French or Spanish, or the word is the inner understanding tied to our belief, guided through our consciousness. And as we do, there is a law that responds. It's an amazing thing. There's a greater power, greater good available for each and every one of us. And unfortunately for today, I've run out of time. I had a whole lot more I wanted to cover, but that's what we got covered, and we'll pick it up again next show. I hope you've been enjoying this. I'll see you when we come back. And as you go through the week, know the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Because truly, wherever you're at, God is there. And if God's there, all is well, all is good. Because it's all God. See you next time.